All right, we are live, I believe, so I'll call us to order at 5:02 p.m. Thank you all for braving the elements to come out. To my agenda.
Well, basically, in case we needed to do it, but we were ready to do it. I think we do.
Excuse me for a second there. Actually, I think this is the old.
It is.
This is the old agenda. Yeah. Do we have a motion for the minutes from January 28th, which are in the packet?
Yes,
So moved. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, may we have a vote to accept the minutes as submitted? All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you, Roseanne. Report of the board president. I have a couple of things. It is Black History Month. Welcome. So I have two quotes because they're short this time around. When you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out, because this is your country. This is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on. The great Thurgood Marshall. And then from James Baldwin, we have, I love America more than any other country in this world. And exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. Oh. Other notes in my report, there is a finance committee at 6 o'clock this evening. Finance committee members are here, but it is open to any of you who wish to stay and hear the goings on of finance. Please feel free to join us. I thought it might also be a good moment. I'm sure you all, before every meeting, review the bylaws and our roles and responsibilities, but just in case you don't, I thought I would do a quick refresher. Those of you who have been around the block with me a few times know I like to say nose in, fingers out. That's basically the distillation of what our role is here. It's to pay attention, but we are not the doers here. That is Jason and his team. So just quickly on the roles and responsibilities, TLDR bullet list from the bylaws. A reminder that we are one member of a full board with expectations that a single director acts with the board and not as an individual. Board members respect the decisions of the full board and present opposing points of view in a reasonable and responsible manner. I don't think that's ever been an issue. The actual management of the library is reserved for the head librarian. It is the head librarian's responsibility to supervise the day-to-day operations, including employing and supervising staff, selecting library materials, and overseeing financial management. That's mostly a reminder for me. Board members refer all publicity and information to the board president, the head librarian, or other appropriate designee to interpret policy. Board members maintain objectivity with staff and refer issues to the head librarian, who's responsible for staff oversight until a situation requires board action, which thankfully is not terribly often. Public concerns are the responsibility of the head librarian. Issues should be addressed by the board only if a policy revision is necessary or legal ramifications are involved. Board members respect confidential information and do not divulge information learned during executive sessions or any information regarding future board actions until those plans are officially taken. And lastly, come on time and prepared. And just a reminder, if you cannot make a meeting, just let me or Jason know in advance. It's a 3 strikes you're out rule if we don't know that you're not going to be attending a meeting, but if we know you can't make it, that's an excused absence. Jason has an idea for us about doing book recommendations on the new website when it's ready. Do you want to say a little something about that? Still under the auspice of my report.
Yes, can you give me 30 seconds to actually cue it up? So
Okay, I'll go on to my next bullet while you do that. And I sent around my notes to each of you on what my hopes and dreams are for your committee assignments. But I did just want to note, Jason and I have been talking about possibly 2 ad hoc committees to look at some specific issues that are short, hopefully term in nature. So we reserve the right to come back to you with some more opportunities for service if those topics interest you.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm gonna put up on the screen and I'll have to share the screen first so that I can then full screen it so everyone can see what I'm talking about. So this Well, there's a lot of menus and I'm going to see this, so I apologize. Um, right now, I'm spending some time building the library's website. This is right now the homepage. We did pay for a Photoshop so the paint continues properly, and so we did have someone come in and clean up a photo that'll be uploaded soon. But we're putting things into buckets. We've done some usability testing. The special, Linnea really designed this. Cheryl from the Human Resources Department, who has an exceptional talent in usability, actually like kind of translated translated Linnea's vision to an actionable for web design. And then I've gone in to do the actual building. And so this is kind of what it looks like right now, but at the bottom, traditionally, we had, actually, in the current library website, the second thing in the chart of organization of the website is me, and like the fourth is the board, which is not what. No offense to all 13 of us, including those who aren't present, but we're not the first things that people come to the library for. So it's more appropriate for us to be in the bottom section. So I've moved it and I've merged our two pages, which don't need to be separate pages, into library leadership. So it's under the about section of the library. And so part of what we're going to do today is take a picture so we can have the board picture, and we have all of our times and term limits. You can see that I have a couple of like style settings to fix. But when I was building this and looking through the different widgets that were available, I found this piece that has different spotlights. And so I put it in, because I sent it to Stephanie and Laura to see what they thought about having the suggestion of maybe each month having two of you recommend three titles. And so it's kind of like my view of what it might look like. So this is just authors right now, obviously, but we don't have to have one giant picture of you unless you really want one giant picture of you. But my thought is maybe we could do something of either every other month, something that makes this page a living page rather than just a dead page where people might go look up something. Also on this page, of course, will be like agendas, board items, links to other things. But I had offered that suggestion, given our conversation last month about everyone's suggestions. I think it would be a really fun. This My plan for this website for the timeline will be, the first draft of it will be going to the deputy directors for review, hopefully mid next week. We have to launch this before April 24th. If we wanted to, we could hold off on this. I can obviously turn this section off for now, but if people are gung ho, I could start with a couple recommendations from two people to get started and just go through a cycle, so that during your time you get to at least do twice a year. And it doesn't have to be 3 books, it could be 2 books, it could be, I just want to highlight one book, it doesn't really matter to me. Unless we want to do that monthly book recommendation, but that seems pretty aggressive, so it's up to you guys.
I, of course, love this plan, and we don't actually talk about books a whole lot as a library board, so this kind of gives us a space to show a little bit more of our personalities and interests through our reading, so.
And then
great.
for process, what I'll probably do is build the discovery layer of our catalog is called Aspen. Doesn't really matter the name of it, but it's just the overlay of the catalog, so it's easy to see. And so what I'll probably do is like make a list of so that like view all books recommended by board members this year or something fun like that. So if in 3 months someone finds that they don't miss Gail's suggestion from 2 months ago.
Love
Oh,
it,
that's really nice. Wow.
love it, so. Christine.
So once this is done with, do you have plans to show us the website traffic and analytics? Just so we can start becoming familiar with what's working, what's not, based on, first of all, that's really interesting to me. You can tell how boring my life is, that's what I'm reading it, because website analytics tells you so much about who's visiting, where they come from. You know, what pages, how many page views, who's unique users, and all of that.
Yeah, so most certainly, we do not have that stuff right now because of how our website was built. So it is built into my process here. So we will have that stuff kind of going forward, but I won't have a historical for us to compare against. But that will most certainly be something important. I think it makes sense to report into like one of the committees rather than to the full board, and maybe makes sense to
Yeah.
do like a market, part of like a marketing committee report so that there could be questions about traffic in that space. The other thing with this is once this is done, it starts our timeline for our app. And so, you know, we'll be in the next couple of months starting to work on the developer work so that we can have an app, but if this is done well, our app is plug and play. So that's why it's taking so long to make this do well, so we don't have to also rebuilding an app. So we'll also have the analytics from that once that starts going.
It's great.
Fantastic, thank you. That concludes my report. Any questions before we move on?
And just say I love that minutes and things might be on this page because the city's website for meetings
Oh.
is a nightmare.
It
And this
is,
would be better.
yeah, I mean, so part of it will be references to the direct places where they are with like pre-search things, but to your point, I also find going back to find the pieces a little confusing. So this is like,
And it's a search pre-built for everybody, so.
yeah, yes, exactly, search pre-built for everyone.
Nice, thank you. All right, Jason, time for your report.
All right, so I did want to highlight a couple of the key points and then get to a discussion on safety for the library. But also give you guys all an update on the hiring process for our security guards. So I'll start with saying the state budget piece. I'm really excited that we were able to increase to have this is the first governor's budget I think I've ever had as a library director, never mind here at the Worcester Public Library, where the governor has started with an increase. So it's a pretty amazing, I think it's the biggest victory possible. For context, in September of this past year at the Holyoke Public Library, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners met to talk about the budget as they do each year. In that conversation, I remain and very deeply publicly disturbed by some of the comments of the commissioners of the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. There's a lot of word commissioners. Because especially our two new appointees seem to have an agenda pushed by the governor that is not pro-library, is pro healthcare and business. So we had an actual member of the Board of Library Commissioners say to that it was hospitals are not getting reimbursed for helping people, so libraries should be more measured in their ask, and asking for an increase is a insult and a slap in the face. So obviously I didn't take kindly to that. And I did read a speech at that meeting that I wrote while sitting there fuming. But the speech said, I sell the legislative agenda across the state every year to push the state budget, and I will not sell theirs, and I will speak out against them. And so this is part of me speaking out against them. But luckily, it's rattled enough feathers to get the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioner staff to send a letter to the governor with outlining why each line item that we have, what the purpose of the line items, and it actually was a very good letter. There are a couple other directors that criticized it. I actually did not criticize it. I think it was the best that they could do. And ultimately, I left September with commissioners having said they might propose cuts to library fund lines for the next fiscal year. And when they convened back in October to a this September, I was the only non-MBLC staff member in the room. October, it was a room full of library directors from all over the state, including some academic, state employed librarians, to who were ready to have this conversation. And luckily, they had done all the homework, being ready for this room of people, and had proposed this 3% increase across all lines, with 2 lines identified as a 5% increase. One of those lines is library stated to public libraries, which is our most important line. That's not true, because we also have Worcester Talking Book Library. So we have 2 very important lines. Hopefully Leah doesn't hear me say that sentence, and doesn't watch this recording. But the good news is, usually governor level funds, and they have to fight from level funding. This year, she started with a 2% increase across all lines, including the Center for the Book, which in the 15 years I've been a librarian, I've never once seen a governor propose an increase to the Center for the Book, which is amazing, a huge victory. And so we are still gonna fight for TBL to receive its 3% requested. But I will not remotely shake my finger at a 2% increase, when realistically, knowing how difficult budgets are, things might have gone different this year. And so that was a huge amount of work for me and a victory. So I really wanted to highlight it in this space, because again, in all of the years I've been so involved with state funding, we've never started off so far ahead. Really excited about that. Completely changing topics is, I am still in the process of working with GBH on a more formal partnership between the library and the local NPR affiliate, and member of public media. For those of you who may not know, GBH does have one dedicated Worcester reporter, Sam. And Sam's previously working out of an office that was loaned out, rented out through QCC. Obviously, in all of the federal eliminations of funding for NPR and any public broadcasting, that has been eliminated. But GBH is deeply invested in staying in Worcester. And so we're working really hard on creating a better, strong relationship. For all of you to know, it's really been a dream of mine to increase a relationship with GBH. If you go to the Boston Public Library, you'll see GBH has its full studio in it. And so it already knows how to work with libraries. It already knows how to work with urban libraries. GBH has also came to do a profile on our social worker when she started, and ended up doing a very large a whole segment on social work in public libraries, and so they get us. They also want to work with us on civics education over the next couple of years, and do a lot of civics programming. So they're the ones that host like the mayoral debates. Their new dream is for them to be here and working with us on all those pieces. So it's really a great win-win for us. And so I'm hard at work. This relationship started because of the former foundation president, Tim Lowe. He previously was on GBH's board years ago, and when they had called him to say, like, who can we talk to in Worcester to get something so that we don't lose our central Massachusetts hold. And he referred them to me, so it's been really a great conversation since then. So that's my GBH. Do you have any questions on either 2 of those things before I move on to the next one?
So you're probably familiar with this, but did you know that the Worcester Guardian also is now one of their collaborators for Central Mass News? And when I listened to it, there was an article in the Worcester Guardian that came out today about Black history and Black women singers who never got their due, and the whole article was discussed on GBH. So just to know that Charlene Arsenal they created with GBH also.
has joined us, so glad you can get.
Well, I don't know how I can put that together. Speaking of full, you know, those we have.
Um, so that's, Mary, did you have questions?
Sam's last name.
Turkin?
Turkey.
Turkin,
Turkin.
Yes.
CE, I think.
Turkin, thanks.
yeah,
I'm gonna double check it.
okay, thank you. So we're really excited about that partnership, especially given coming on the heels of Spectrum's news leaving Worcester and moving out to Needham. We have a full news desert here in central Massachusetts, a very large untapped space for news and media. And GBH understands that. They have sent every top person to come meet with me, so all the executive editors, and this isn't just, they're taking this very seriously, so I'm very excited about that. It's cool. And then a couple of updates for you all. Obviously, we had to relocate our meeting because our elevator is not working at the moment. They were here, we've had the elevator go down a couple of times lately, and so we're really fortunate again to have our facilities manager, Joel Wentworth, on it and trying to figure it out and working with various vendors to get this working. This morning when I came in at little before 8:30, they were they were on top of the elevator and making go up and down. So they made some progress today, and so hopefully we'll be pretty short on that being broken. For anyone looking to go to the third floor, we do have that middle of the library. I just couldn't remember the name of the building we were in. The middle of the library has the ability to go to the third floor, and if anyone needs to work with someone on the fourth floor, they can come down to an additional floor to work. We have redeployed one staff member that can't get up to the fourth floor, but that staff member actually has a staffing issue right now, so it's actually kind of working out for the better. So it happens. As I mentioned, prior to the start of the official meeting, as our new recording secretary starts on Monday. So she will be at the next board meeting, and that's when the board will vote for her to be the recording secretary. For right now, that function's still going through me. But I'm very excited for her to start. And then I also want to talk briefly about the front door. The front door was previously broken. Oftentimes our front door issues are centered around patrons. And unlike our elevator, which is just, has been here since 2000, right? So we have our front door was fixed, but then we had to close it again today, because it wasn't seeing people properly, so both closing on and not opening for, or staying stuck open or staying stuck closed, and so Joel has made another call up to that, so hopefully that'll be repaired relatively soon. But sometimes I'm not the quickest on repairing in sub-zero temperatures, because when they created a front door for us, they created a wind tunnel for us. And so it can easily bring down the temperature of the library by a number of degrees at a time, when it is 0 degrees out and very windy. So that's an important piece. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about safety and security at the library, especially centered around conversation that Stephanie and I had about whether or not we wanted to create some level of ad hoc committee centered around that. So I'm going to start that conversation today, if that sounds good for everyone. But I guess before I do that, should I ask for any questions on the rest of my board report? Because I'm moving on from the board report.
Yeah,
Moving to the
that
next
makes sense.
thing.
Are there any questions on Jason's report so far?
Can you share the name of the new recording secretary, or do we have to wait?
Yes, I mean, we've announced it to the staff, so yes, I can. So Liza French. So she right now is actually part-time at the library and circulation department, but she will come to us from the cities. One of her previous roles was doing all the events for the youth opportunities group for the city of Worcester. I'm really excited to say that this week. I saw a staff member from the cultural development office and she said, when are you getting your some support? And I told her that Liza was starting and she goes, I was gonna steal Liza for a different job. So she already has a reputation in the city in multiple departments, so we're really excited for her to join. So, any other questions on that before I move on to safety? So I would start by letting you all know that after some offers, we are interviewing more people for the third security guard. I will say that this group turned around. This is probably the fastest I've ever seen this entire city try to hire someone. We had I believe the day it closed, Peggy sent out it to everyone on a Friday, and on Monday, Soma, Peggy, and Christina had already finished reviewing all of those applications. We had invited people into interviews within a week of the job closing. So we were aggressive to try to get people. The that whole week they finished up interviews. We offered the very next week. And our top candidate turned down for because they were offered another job with better benefits and better pay. And then I don't believe our second one ever called us back. Not that I know of yet. And so our second choice did not call back. And so one thing we do with jobs in Worcester is we leave them open until filled. And so sometimes applications come in after. For us, 30 applications came in after that first pull. And so in the last day, Peggy, Selma, and Christina have pulled those, reviewed those, and invited their top two candidates in to come in. So to say that this team is working very quickly is really an understatement. There's no possible way they're not reading these over the weekends to get them done. That's not a positive thing for me to say, this is, but the three of their dedication is really on display here to try to get this. And so we're hopeful and that we will be able to hire our third security guard. In the meantime, as we're looking at hoping this winter weather gets better soon. Because as you well may know, our incidents spike during bad weather and our incidents spike when it's really cold out. We have had a lot of no trespass orders that we have issued to patrons who are not behaving within the library, and have had a lot of firsts. A lot of weird stuff's happened here, and not just from patrons that are experiencing homelessness, but also just the patron in general, just walking their kid in with their power wheels, no. Walking in with a chainsaw, no. We're having a lot of weird things.
I'm sorry, a chainsaw. Could you back up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chainsaw?
yeah, it was an electric chainsaw, so it wasn't like actively running gas.
Just cause.
Just cause. So to say that people are okay is like, would be across the board. That there is quite a lot of strong feelings among people right now. Some of you may have seen, hopefully you all saw my email about our having a couple incidents around a misinterpretation of library policies and meeting room use. But that has waned as we expected it to wane and tends to be an issue. And so it is kind of my thought that it might be useful for this board, especially those that are overly interested in getting regular updates to start an ad hoc committee on updates to safety and security. We can have conversations about trends and all of that, and see some other perspectives. We are hard at work getting more documentation, and the team has done a really incredible job of handling these moments. But we are, I think, all across the board approaching, well, many of us past burnout with this stuff. And so we're eager to have some new players help assist us out. And I'd love to hear some thoughts or really answer any questions that you guys might have about safety. I do want to make sure that you all know that we're taking it very seriously. There's some has a stamp with my name on, with my signature so when we have to issue NTOs and I'm not here to immediately, I'm sorry, I'm using NTO, no trespass order. If we have to issue no trespass order, it can be done effectively and quickly. The could not be a cleaner process. We have lots of redundancies, so when someone is out, that Christina is able to jump in or I'm able to jump in and all the pieces are happening kind of simultaneously. But we are seeing a lot of incidents. And it remains an issue for us and for our staff and our staff morale. I'm also he's back, probably apt that he's back, but wish he was there for part of it. Looks like he is. All right, and he muted himself, so we're good. All right, Ron is here. And so happy to answer any questions or Stephanie, you want to say anything first and
No, I think this is really important. We'll have to develop a really strong charge for the committee.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I hope we can do with it is also to develop some talking points for the rest of this board, because I know you get questions when you're out in the community from people who know that you represent the library on how we can talk about these things when somebody stops you in the grocery store and says, I never go to the library anymore because I went once 5 years ago and, something happened, blah, blah, blah. So I think if we can add that as part of our charge is to help this committee understand how to talk about it honestly, but also in a way that supports what's happening here. So if you're interested in serving, I think email me or Jason and we'll put your group together.
That would be great to set the parameters of what this subcommittee does, or ad hoc committee, but one of the thoughts that I had was that with having a subcommittee like this, it shows support to the staff.
Yeah.
That we're there to listen, and maybe that could be one of the goals of it, is to just listen to what the issues are and know that somebody's hearing it. And maybe even trying to come up with a solution, with the source.
I think advocating at higher
Yeah.
levels in city
Yeah.
administration as well, I'm assuming will be part of your
Yeah.
mission here. Any other questions or comments on the development, Matthew?
I guess the advocacy part, make sure it's teased out how that's distinct from like the legislative committee that already exists.
Yeah.
Cause you don't want to duplicate that work.
Right.
We'll have the administration committee look at developing a chainsaw policy.
it is under, we used to have a very exhaustive list of weapons and we have every different type of weapon, but we had condensed that to weapons or
Gardening tools.
but we do not have a chainsaw in the library of things, nor will
Normally.
let's be honest, it won't even get to
Do you
me.
have books on chainsaws?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm sure that we have.
Chainsaw Man is among us.
Yeah, there you go. This was not a comic.
Was it Halloween?
It was yesterday.
People have
I was
cabin
really
fever.
confused.
being
I don't
trapped
think
in
it's
I
the-
believe New Year, that was.
Yeah, Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year.
Yeah,
Is it the year of the chainsaw?
no, it's the year of the fireworks, which is
Very different
yeah.
and also fraught with danger.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you. I think this is really important and I look forward to serving.
What's the second ad hoc? You said there were two?
I'm threatening to take a look at our bylaws. And I think Matthew and Roseanne had both sort of raised their hands as being interested in also taking a look. They might need some tuning up and refining. But it's one of those projects that nobody actually wants to do. But I feel like this is the year.
It always comes up every year that this is not correct
Yes.
to do this, and that we have to strike secret ballot from the bylaws. I think it says that, right?
Correct.
So,
Some work to be done. Woo, almost as exciting. Governance nerds, unite.
Of course, the academic librarian is interested.
And I appreciate, and the researcher, so I appreciate that.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Just like slowly pull away from the.
Right.
Today, we finalized a draft of a policy at work, so I'm like,
Oh, yeah, you're good.
we did clap for ourselves.
That's good.
No, my function development.
I would love to.
Excellent. Anything else for you, Jason?
I'm happy to answer any questions that was from anything else in the board report.
So this is a curiosity question. Believe it or not, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is implementing a ChatGPT AI platform for all of us to use. We were told through the policies that we could never use it because it's public information and PHI and HIPAA and the whole thing, because I'm in healthcare. And so suddenly this was announced by the Secretariat of Information Systems. Of course, I volunteered to be on a task force, but I found that amazing. And so my question is, how do you see AI being useful?
So you're not connected to Matthew on LinkedIn then?
Matthew has feelings.
He has feelings.
So I think.
Wait a second, was this a hot?
So this is definitely a hot topic in libraries. right now.
Literally and
Um,
figuratively.
Both literally and figuratively a hot topic. And so, for me, the answer to that piece of is there is oftentimes people are looking to make sure that they have documentation for the answers they need and not quite the generative stuff that takes things without permission and takes things without consent. And for us as information professionals, it's really important that we understand and help people understand when both protecting art, which is really important when we even think about art um, as a form. We think about science and like everything that we know about dinosaurs is often through an illustration. So we can't even understand dinosaurs without art. And so when we think about that context of generative AI in particular, that has often taken things without consent, just like and seeing organizations like Google allow people's emails to be taken from them to add to a repository of information is ultimately against the call of a librarian, which says we need to create organization of information so that it is safe, so that it is secure, and so that it is preserved. And I think that is kind of the balance that we're working on right now. I can understand why an internal document that is pulling information and pre-populates things using known internal information might be useful to an organization. That's probably more of what the Commonwealth will go for than generative AI throwing into this.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, I think what we have to do. I was actually having this conversation about culture today with a mentor of mine, and for me, it's like almost akin to why Avatar is the biggest film ever, but is not culturally relevant at all. I couldn't even tell you the name of a character. Because there's no cultural relevance to it, because it's
Colors they were.
because there's progress and cool things for the sake of progress and cool things, not for the sake of an art form and not for the sake of, I mean, if it's storytelling, we all saw Ferngully, which is just the original story of Avatar that it was deeply stolen from, down to the tree, down to the tree.
Wow.
So I think for we will always look at making sure that our staff are aware of how to help people with AI. And that's really because people are having questions of, we're getting to a space where people are watching videos and they don't know if they're real or not. And how do we help people? And actually, the last staff development day in October, we had the Massachusetts Library System come in and do a training on AI for our staff. And part of that was she broke them into groups and they had to like sit through and watch videos to figure out if they were real or not. And a lot of them failed. And so it helps us, so for us, we took it as a training opportunity to learn more, to be prepared for the questions that are going to come from our community around AI. And I think that's kind of the more lens that I would answer from the library perspective. We need to make sure that our patrons know a little bit about it. We know, I think about, I had someone, send in uh, a request to reconsider their no trespass order. And I read it and I was like, well, this is the clearest thing that AI has ever written. Because it pulls in a lot of jargon without any subtext, without any context. And it didn't even, it was like, well, if you read the letter, you would have all the answers to things. But the person I was doing, I'm going to copy and paste the letter here so we can tear apart Jason's argument. And so it's really important that we train our community to understand or why the original creation of things is important, but also understand that where those connections are, we want progress, not for progress sake, but progress for purpose. And so that's really what we're coming at this piece from. That's not a space of like judgment towards any other organization that's making their decisions. Because sometimes they're using those phrases, but they're just simply using FAQ knowledge, like some internal knowledge base, which if everyone kept their librarians that they had way back when, they would have already had this information all codified, all organized, all clearly found. And so we at the library are making sure that we're attending webinars focused on how to help our community through it, and that's our lens. Not so much that we're going to look at it as a service. We are, I will say that at the last American Library Association's conference, one of the vendors, a Visionware, came with the AI librarian. And as Stephanie's laughter might indicate, you can see how well that might have gone, bringing to a trade show of librarians an AI to replace them did not go well for Visionware.
What happened to the AI librarian?
I'm surprised if we made it out of thing. I stayed away from it. I didn't talk to Visionware once over it. And so, so for us as information professionals, our importance is obviously provenance. Our importance is making sure that the information is safe and secure and stable for decades, for centuries to come. And one thing that we're seeing overarching with the use of AI is a lack of interest in preserving information rather than editing information. So, I'm glad to know there's task forces to look at it, to say, like, how can we do this? How can we make sure that we're managing, state things in this space? We do not have the money or bandwidth to investigate something like that. But also right now our focus is more on making sure our patrons are kind of fully understanding those spaces.
Great, thank you. That was a great response.
Can you tell us about the Dr. Goddard celebration, how the library is going to be involved?
Yes. So for the Dr. Robert Goddard on March 16th, we'll celebrate his 100 years from the successful launch of using rocket fuel. And so, his original, he was saying that we could do rockets in outer space, and everyone said, no, you couldn't do it in a vacuum, and he proved them wrong. And so that happened 100 years ago. At that time, is it at that time WPI student, or would he move to Clark by that
He
time?
moved to Clark by then, but he started it.
He started it.
In the Salisbury lab.
Yes.
Which he blew the roof off of, and so then they built him the magnetics lab, which is now the tomb in WPI, the small tomb. It's that little tiny freestanding building on the corner of Boynton Street.
Oh.
And so he was a South High graduate that went to WPI and then Clark for both his master's and PhD. And so for us, we're really excited. Obviously, we have our rocket in our children's room. That's an important piece of that. So a couple months ago, Angela, our head of youth services, sat down with her team to like dream up all they're going to do with for Goddard. And we've been collecting small bottles from library staff for what feels like 2 months now, and because we'll be having make your own rockets, and I think there's 12 distinct Just Worcester Public Library programs on Goddard, with a number of our adult services team had worked with other organizations to bring in people to work on different pieces. So we will have all of that stuff up. Yesterday, what day is it?
Today's Wednesday.
It was yesterday because Monday was a holiday. Yesterday, Angela and I attended an event, a press conference in the morning at Goddard's birthplace and the house that he lived in, which is also kind of launching their new National Space Trail. And so that's one of the first stops of the National Space Trail. You'll also see one outside of Worcester City Hall now. There's going to be one at the Ecotarium. There's definitely the Holy Cross and not Holy Cross, WPI and Clark. I don't know why I said Holy Cross. That's the purple. That's the purple.
The only thing we have is the golf course.
Yeah. And so we have been working as a team to get some events going, so there's lots of events happening. We're also have loaded all that onto the Discover Central Mass website so that because they have made their own like special section of the Discover Central Mass calendar that's taking in everything. So the 70th Egalitarian step at even Auburn Public Library has obviously been working on it. The Museum of Worcester has the first dedicated exhibit only to Robert Goddard that will start on the 16th. And they have items coming from his like lab in Roswell, New Mexico, coming. I think they arrived yesterday. And so it's really a very fun full city process. And so our focus is mostly on kids' experiments and that kind of STEM stuff, but we have a couple of experts coming in that Tara from the adult services team worked on, so you'll see those in the March calendar.
Okay, thank you. And mindful of the time, since we do have finance coming up. I'm guessing there's not a friends report because
Yes, I can.
there is a
Yesterday.
friends report.
They have a meeting yesterday.
I thought maybe we were too early since we bumped this meeting
Yeah,
up.
definitely.
Go for it,
Three times back, so they have a meeting yesterday, and they were very happy because they are making a lot of money. That is the main thing.
I was there Saturday.
Yes, they made more money this year than last year, and they are happy, even if, for instance, the book say that they have the Francis Perkin branch in January was not such a success because of the weather. They only said $200, but even so, they have collected $7,000 more than last time, which is
Fantastic.
fine for them. They just are studying the new season for attracting new members. They start on March, so they are in this process of getting information and activities to bring people to the organization. Yeah, the bookstore is being a success. They sell around $100 a day, so that is a lot of money.
That's a lot of $2
And
books.
yes, and they have this project of having a potential, not a potential anymore, but a contract with Xerox, the copy company, and they are projecting like in between $5,000 and $7,000 a year of revenue on that. And the board yesterday approved the motion, so they are going to do the paperwork to sign the contract and start that going. What else? Oh, Jason came yesterday to the meeting, and they are always happy when Jason came. And they were like asking about the new library that Jason is building. And they are.
Played by himself, written by Greg.
I mean, the idea is first. He has the idea and the vision, so
Here's the vision.
he started the process.
Love it.
And they are very excited that they said that they are ready to chip in money for the library to help the furniture and all the stuff. And Jason said that he was very grateful about that, but the campaign does not start yet. When the time comes, they are going to be ready to move the money because they have money in the bank and they can have a big amount of money in the bank. because of the values that they have.
That's great.
What else? They are going to be celebrating their 70th anniversary this year. So they are planning on doing a small little things because they don't want to compete with the 250 years of America. So they are going to stay short on that, but they are going to do some stuff to promote and thinking on the 75
Nice.
5 years from now. So they approve support for the library in about $10,000 without hesitation, which is they have money, right? Because they were $10,900. It's a lot of money, and they didn't hesitate. And in this money that they approved are some of the programs that we were talking about, Dr. Goddard.
Great.
That is very interesting. And it's very interesting to me because I live around the corner from his house. So I've been watching for like the last 2 or 3 years, some little actions over there. They come and plant a tree, they have a little statue, and it's very interesting because I remember when I first came to Worcester 11 years ago, I saw a little sign that said, this is the hometown of Dr. Goddard
Right,
on 290, and that was the only mention.
correct.
And assisted living building by my places. But through the years, I think that it's being more visible for people to know about Dr. Goddard. Now that is the 100 years, very exciting for me. 2 years ago, I took some classes for a master in literature, and one of my classmate, he was a nuclear scientific or something like that, and he was very excited about talking about Dr. Goddard. And I thought I live just around the corner. So these are a lot of things in my current situation about Dr. Goddard that I was very interested. So this is the press report. They are planning on having another book sale, but they are going to move it to fall before, because they don't want to compete with other activities that the town has.
Right.
In a different note, I want to let you know something as well that happened to me. I went to this play in the theater that is called Eureka Day. This is a little theater around my house on Grandview Avenue. They produce a lot of little plays, like 3 or 4 in the year. So I went this Saturday for Valentine's with my wife, and they gave me the program, and there is a special thing for the library, Jason, and I was like, why? How come Jason is involved in this, right?
Wow.
So I went to the front desk and asked him, why are you thinking the library? And they explained to me that the library supported providing books and bookshelf and stuff for the play, because the play was about a board of director meetings, and they had, and you don't want to be in that board of director, well, intelligent. And the background was all books from the library. So that is very nice. And I was talking to Jason yesterday, that I think that this is thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
Because who wouldn't think that the library is involved with something like that, right? In a very small community theater. So kudos to him and his staff. It was a nice surprise. I was very excited.
Yeah.
That relationship was actually facilitated by Eric Butler, the new so this is the executive director of the Museum of Worcester. And that's all discard books that were gonna go to Bay State, so it actually kept us from having to call Bay State again.
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works.
That's great.
It's a foundation related question, if that's the thing. I'm sorry, the Friends. Are the Friends gonna have a presence on the new website?
Yes, so during their meeting yesterday, I went over so I had previously sent their presidents to the president of the Friends and the secretary. Secretary gave me a ton of feedback, which is what I want, just tell me what to change. And so I've made some of those changes, not all of them, but they have on the website, under the support us tab, it breaks into 3 groups. So the foundation, the friends, and also volunteering. And that was what we came up with through user testing and how people sorted stuff. So they'll have the book, so right now they have their bookstore and anything that they want to have on it, but they'll also have their like bonfire. And hopefully we'll be launching a very fun last minute special, limited time only rocket brand for the library using our rocket from the.
Nice.
So
Right.
that might drop in the next 2 weeks.
Looking forward to getting that link in my email.
I think the Friends membership cycle also starts April 1st, so be on the lookout to get the mailer to renew your membership, because I assume you're all members.
They were thinking about the $70 membership because of the 70th anniversary.
No, because that's a discount.
That's what I said. And then it became 70% of your income, which got to.
That's
Way
a
too
lot.
many.
It's a big swing.
But
Okay.
it's very interesting that I'm always thinking new ways to make money for the
Yeah.
library and support the library in any way they can.
Yeah, they're
It's very
fabulous.
interesting.
Roseanne, was there a foundation meeting
No.
between our last meeting
No,
and?
there hasn't.
So. Lisa or Chrissy, are they on? Do they want to say
Chrissy's
anything?
in Ireland right now.
Right.
Lisa's on, but I don't necessarily know if she has anything. She's got nothing.
Okay, fantastic. Is there any new business to bring before the group?
Nope.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Is there a second? Okay. Please feel free to stay for finance, which starts at 6 P.M.
Hey, me, quick photo and then I'll.
Yeah, photo.
Yeah.
Glitter?